What to do, everyone? Welcome to the third episode of Keeping Up with the RDF. You got your boys here. Got Johnny Squared, and we got Charlie. Before we get into it, man, just moments before we started this, a trade happened. Funny enough, it was between Charlie and Johnny Squared. It's a blockbuster trade. By this point, Charlie will be married and probably with one kid. And Johnny could, who knows, he proposing? Question mark.
Good.
But anyways, I'll let them talk a little bit more about it. One person got Evan Ingram, the other person got a fourth round pick. I'll let you guys take the floor here, and it definitely did not take long for this trade to happen. Let me just say that it literally took 45 seconds.
Yeah. In the span of that, I was looking at my roster, had Evan Ingram just chilling there, and I was like, well, this guy's. I actually said to both Johnnies, and I was like, hey, anyone want to offer me a bag of balls for Evan Ingram? And Johnny Squared came back and said, hey, how about a 2028 fourth round pick? And I said, you know what? That's pretty much a bag of balls. So in my head, I got what I wanted.
To be fair, I offered you Darren Waller as part of the trade.
You did. You did offer
really
Darren
a steal
Waller.
for
Yeah,
you
that's a good point. That's a 33-year-old free agent tight end or a fourth.
for a 31-year-old.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
You never know what you can.
bounce back year, and that's all I need. Hopes and prayers.
Charlie, at this point, you now have like, what, 65 picks for the next 2 years?
Yeah, about next year I think is gonna be good for me. I got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, like 3 thirds, 3 fourths. It'll be next year 2027. It's gonna be my draft for sure.
Gosh
You
damn,
might have
man.
your roster.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Well, you know what? I think it's, although like you do have star like players, but I think it's more exciting when you have a shit ton of draft picks because like it just makes it feel more exciting and makes you feel like you're like actually like a franchise winner. Like that's just me. Like me, I trade away my picks. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. But anywho, today's episode today, we are actually going to be going over our results of what we think the first round is going to be like. And that's just for our league. We're not going to go off of where we think, like, let's say, for example, Makai Lemon is projected to go fifth, let's say, in Dynasty, but we think he's going to go fourth. So basically, we're going to go off of rankings of where we think certain players will go to certain teams. That probably made absolutely no fucking sense at all, but I'm going to still roll with it. But yeah, basically, we're going to also name off the teams. And for me, for example, I'll start off with pick one. Basically, kind of what I went with is I was trying to find comparisons on what these players are projecting to look like to start in the NFL, along with some of their stats from the combine and stats that they had in college. So, without further ado, I'm keeping it short and simple. 101. Jeremiah Love. Like, I that's it. He's getting compared to Jahmyr Gibbs. The dude's 20 years old. How can you? I'm done talking. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty. I'll keep it short and simple too. Pick 101. I have Quinn's Gambit here. I have him taking Jeremiah Love. What a surprise! I think just him being, mocked right now in the NFL to the Tennessee Titans or the Washington Commanders, two teams that obviously would love Jeremiah Love. I know everybody would, but yeah, pretty straight to the point. Jeremiah Love for sure.
Yeah, I have some insider information saying that the first pick in our league is going to be Jeremiah Love.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Who's your source?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
It's secret insider information for a reason.
Absolutely, of course.
But no, yeah, 101, Jeremiah Love, no contest.
No, maybe when it comes to draft day, maybe we'll slide your dad a $20 bill under the table to get your login info and spice up the draft a little bit. I don't know, but anywho, I think we don't have to talk too much on that, man. So let's just go pick two. So this is gonna be Mr. Kokora, aka Contagious, who was a runner-up last year. Me personally, I went with Carnell Tate. The only reason why for it was for a couple reasons. One, kind of looked at the standpoint, he's a Buckeye, and we live in Ohio. And when you look at the wide receiver standouts who have entered the league, and I'll name some of them: Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison, probably the best one on this list, JSN, even Terry McLaurin. So you can tell when Ohio State wide receivers go into the league, they are always very productive right off rip. Cornell Tate's also 6'3". He ran a 4.53. I know he's not that fast, but even with Jeremiah Smith, he still put up 875 yards, 9 touchdowns. Guess how many yards per catch he had? 17 yards per catch. The dude's a stud. He's going to be amazing. And I truly think out of those 3 wide receivers we're going to see leave in probably the top 6 picks, it's got to be Cornell Tate. And he's already getting compared to who? Chris Olave.
I really like that you said the Ohio State thing, and obviously, Team Contagious, massive Ohio State fan. However, he's also a massive Cleveland Browns fan. So that's why at pick 102, I have him taking Jordan Tyson, because I believe the Cleveland Browns will be selecting Cornell Tate. And as a Browns fan, as bad as I want Cornell Tate, we're Browns fans. We get it. The agony behind it all. Quarterback room is still a question, I think, to put it lightly. So that's why I have Jordan Tyson going 102. I just think, knowing he's a Buckeye fan, sure, but also a Browns fan at heart. If the Browns draft Cornell Tate, I would expect a little bit of a slide pretty much across the board in fantasy football with Cornell Tate.
Yeah, it's a good thing you brought up the Browns thing, because I have talked to my dad, and he said he's pretty much split between Cornell Tate and Mekhi Lemon. Whichever one does not go to the Browns is what he said. So at 1-2, I do have Cornell Tate going, but that is subject to change depending on how draft plays out.
Yeah, that's the sad thing is this. We know for a fact who goes to the Browns. I mean, do we think he'll be wide receiver 1 over Jerry Jeudy? Do we think Jerry Jeudy will be a bounce back year? But also, Shadir, Deshaun Watson, drafting a quarterback, don't know what the hell, but more of the story is this. I'll always be a diehard Cleveland Browns fan, even if we get 3 wins or make the playoffs. I love my Cleveland Browns, and God bless who they take in this draft this year. All right, going on to pick 3, are probably one of our favorite people to propose trades to. We got Ryan, a.k.a. Mystery Liquid. I think he's made it extremely clear. I know you guys maybe have it a different way, but the amount of shit and love that he talks about Kenyon Sadiq, I know I already told, I think, Johnny this. This man texted me saying that he wants to sit next to Johnny in the draft, stare at Johnny in the eyes, and take Kenyon Sadiq, because we all know that if Kenyon Sadiq fell to 5, I think Johnny would probably take him. But when we look at his tight ends, guys, he has Jatavion Sanders, Greg Dulcich, and Daniel Bellinger. So, and right now, guess who he's getting compared to? Trey McBride. So, it's very high potential on this tight end. The dude also ran a 4.39 at 6'3". So I know there's a lot of, wide receiver potential that you could take with if it's Lemon or Tate there. But, I mean, I really think you can't go wrong with either one of those receivers or Sadiq here. But I just truly think he desperately needs a tight end.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's so many good wide receivers, especially like in the top part of this draft. As you get toward the later first round, second round, early on, I think there's a lot more running backs kind of on the board. But with that being said, I do think, again, Kenyon Sadiq will be the guy that Ryan, a.k.a. Mystery Liquid, takes at 3. He's been pretty high on him. He wants him really bad. Granted, I think we'll have an idea of where Johnny Squared wants Kenyon Sadiq to fall. But with that being said, I got him going at pick 103.
I have Mekhi Lemon going at pick 103. Taking a look at Ryan's wide receivers, you got Wayndale Robinson in Tennessee, which more than likely is a good fit for him, honestly, because they don't really have any other weapons to steal his targets. But then you have Raji Rice as his wide receiver 2, Who knows what's going to happen with Raji Rice? Who knows if Mahomes is playing week 1? They just went and got Justin Fields. A little questionable. And you got Troy Franklin and Romeo Dubes, who neither of them are wide receiver ones. So if you can go get a guy like Mekhi Lemon, who's getting comparisons to Amon-Ra, if he ends up in the right situation, playing in the slot, it's a lot of target share, a lot of opportunity for touchdowns. So I have Mekhi Lemon at my 103.
Yeah, I think no matter what, the top 4 picks are like locked in. Actually, no, the top 5 picks I would say are like locked in on like good
agree.
core players. So like, I think either way, Ryan will be fine with who he gets there. But next, we're going to talk about the team that's probably the most ghosted, which is Team K-Check. And I actually went a different route, even though at this point, you know, it could be Tyson or it could be Lemon, whoever it is. I actually took a leap, and I think he's going to take Jonah Coleman. So I don't know if you guys have ever looked like at mock drafts like a month before the draft, and then what it looks like when you draft the day of. Like there's always extreme ranking differences that happen. Currently, right now, they show Jonah Coleman as the 10th best dynasty running back in our league. It's hard to believe right now, knowing where he's going to go. But here's some stats, and I actually couldn't find a comparison of him, but looking at size and everything, he's almost identical to Ashton Genty. So Jonah Coleman, he's 5'8", 220. Genty is 5'8", 208. They both ran roughly around a 4.5. But Jonah Coleman in the combine, he was the second best overall score rank of running backs. And currently right now, the running backs Tape Check has, he does have Amari and Hampton, but after that, he only has Aaron Jones, Rashad White. The only positive about him, he still has all his picks in general. So knowing going into next year, he's going to probably have another top 5 pick. Next year's going to also be a very heavy RB draft as well. And next year in general, it's going to be absolutely loaded. So I couldn't really tell what would be better for him to get a receiver, but I know he also has Lab McConkey, he has A.J. Brown, and he does have Jordan Addison, but he also only has Travis Kelce. So I don't really know what would be best for his team. He definitely has a lot of positions he really has to work on.
Yeah, at 104, I have Carnell Tate going here. Obviously, with me thinking that Jordan Tyson's going to go at 102, this kind of helps the slide that I'm kind of seeing if the Browns were to take, our guy, Carnell Tate. So I think that if he fell to 4, I think that there's no question he's best available wide receiver at that point on the board. Yes, he's got A.J. Brown, McConkey. He's got Christian Watson, which is great. And it's a good core, but this also being a double flex league along with, your 2 wide receivers, like you need depth. Not that by any means Cardinal Tate is a depth guy, but I mean, he's just a stud who, no matter what your roster looks like, you can find room to start him.
Yeah, at 104, I have Jordan Tyson going. He was just the best wide receiver left available. And I know Corey's got a lot of holes in his roster, but I think not taking the best available player at the point that his team is at would just kind of be a problem. He took Travis Hunter last year, which if he was still playing wide receiver, I would probably say he can go running back. But now with the Jags saying that he's probably going to play mostly corner, and with the wide receiver room already being crowded, I'd say he needs a third wide receiver that can go get some points for him.
Yeah, knowing what you said about your dad with Mekhi Lemon or Carnell Tate, I think at 104, I think it's going to definitely just become if it's going to be Jonah Coleman or the best wide receiver there. But I know going into pick 5 now, my pick probably won't make that much sense because I had Mekhi Lemon at 105, but I don't think he's going to fall to 5. I just truly think Tate K-Check is going to be the big mystery pick. So, but I'll still say the stats on Mekhi Lemon. 5'11". Once again, he's a receiver that's 4.5. But you know who he's getting compared to right now? Amon-Ra. Mekhi was a first team, all Big Conference. He had roughly around 1,100 yards, 11 TDs. Also a receiver that averaged over 14 yards per reception. So I think we can also not say a lot about this man, but for good reasons. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a first round pick in the NFL, and he's going to definitely have a lot of targets, whichever team he goes to.
Yeah, at pick 105, I think that Johnny Squared, you're taking Denzel Boston. Now I went with him because looking at your wide receiver room, let's start with your running back room. Quinshawn, Brees Hall, and now Jeremiah Love, pick 101. So you look at your wide receivers. I know you're pretty top heavy. You got Malik Neighbors, you got Zay Flowers, who we can discuss a different day. But with that being said, in one of your flex spots right now, you have Darren Waller starting. So basically, you need another guy there, and obviously,
It's gonna be Evan Ingram, right?
that's true.
It's
It's
Evan
going to be
Ingram.
Evan Ingram to pretty soon. But I think Denzel Boston is a good size guy there. I could see him being a really, really good 1B wide receiver on any team he goes to in his rookie year. So, yeah, I'm pretty high on Denzel Boston.
Yeah, 105. The way I had my draft fall out, Kenyon Sadiq fell to me at
Of course
105.
he did.
Yeah, of course he did. Obviously, it depends on who's available. If Mekhi Lemon does go, or if Kenyon Sadiq does go early and Jordan Tyson or Lemon fall to me, then that's a different conversation to be had. But Sadiq at 105, he ran a 4.3. Depends where he goes, obviously. But I think he'll have a productive NFL career.
Yeah, Johnny, I think you're a lock of having probably one of the best drafts we've had so far with 101 and 105. Knowing you're hitting Jeremiah Love, or unless you want to trade Jeremiah Love to someone
You?
else. But honestly, you are going to be stacked. As long as everyone is healthy, I said this in the last episode, you're going to be a playoff team. That's all I'm saying. Going to pick 6 now, which is me. So I actually have Tyson falling to me at 6. I'll tell you the true reason why I think. So before I say that, he's 6'2". At the combine, he actually ranked number 1 in all of wide receiver score. They actually have him compared to Terry McLaurin. He was a first team All Big 12. He had 711 yards and 8 TDs in 9 games. The only reason he had 9 games, he had a hamstring issue, and it looks like it's still acting up for him. So I think teams are going to be a little bit more hesitant on where he's going to get drafted. I still think he's an absolute stud. If he can get through the injury, he'll be perfectly fine. But I know recently I heard stuff that he is still battling with it, and I think that's why I think there's certain things he didn't do in the combine, like I think the 40-yard dash, which makes sense because that's an easy way to get your hamstring re-injured again. But I think that's why he's going to fall to me. It just truly depends on that injury. But overall, he is still an absolute stud. And I know you brought up Denzel Boston, and I'm also very high on him. And I also have him going in the first round, but I'll wait until I show you where he's going to go.
Yeah, pick 106, Becker. Sticking in the wide receiver realm, I actually have Mekhi Lemon falling to you at 106. I know you guys had him going earlier.
Hey, Johnny, don't. Hey. I think Mekhi Lemon will fall to me.
Listen, I think that he's a stud, which sucks. But I think he doesn't. I don't think his measurables were too impressive. In terms of height and weight, granted that's not end all be all. You've seen a guy like Tyreek Hill just fly down the field. But Mekhi Lemon, Becker, you don't need a running back. We all know that. So you don't need a tight end either. Quarterback, you need that? Nope. So I think that you're just taking best available, to be honest. In my mock 1.0, I got Mekhi Lemon to you at pick 6.
See, I actually went a little bit of a different direction for my 1-6. I know Becker's been trying to move off McCaffrey with a couple different teams. So at 1-6, I have him taking Jonah Coleman, who I know he's been high on. I think it just makes sense because you have back-to-back picks here. You can kind of go wide receiver or running back. You don't need tight end. You don't need quarterback. So with your first pick, I got you going Jonah Coleman.
So I'm happy. That's why I made that trade to get rid of Chris Olave, because we'll go on to pick 7 now. But that's why I think I'm going to be very happy, because no matter what, I can either get the second best RB or I can just get the next best wide receiver available. But I'm very high on both of those guys. But I kind of like Charlie's route. If Mekhi Lemon falls to 6, I will be a very happy man. But you know what? We won't talk too much about it because we'll just skip the pick 7, which is also me again. With pick 7, I think this is part of the draft that it's going to be a lot more difficult to see who's going to be that diamond in the rough. But after looking at more wide receivers, I was actually choosing Casey Conception. So for him, I actually thought he was a small receiver. I thought he was like 5'9". He's actually 6 foot. He ran a 4.4 dash. He was first team all SEC and also an all purpose yards. He's getting compared to Doug Baldwin. And not only did he have over 900 yards receiving on 9 touchdowns, he also had 10 carries for 75 yards and a TD. So it's kind of looking like maybe he can fill in like a kind of like a Deebo Samuel type of role. He also had 2 punt return TDs. So like he gets used a lot all across the field. Me personally, I hope he doesn't get used on punt return if he's coming up with these stats. But, you know, this is the point that we have to start finding those sleeper wide receivers. But I know it's way too early to tell where these receivers are going to go. But the last time I heard about KC, he was going to get drafted to KC. So we'll see how that goes. But, you know, I think he is going to be a solid wide receiver 2, or in dynasty formats, maybe a flex player here and there.
Guys, do you hear that? I think someone's calling in a draft day trade. Ladies and gentlemen, Becker, you might start with pick 107 here. However, there's going to be a trade. You see, Mystery Liquid, we all know that, well, the spoiler alert for what my next pick is, there's a man who's very high on Fernando Mendoza at pick 8. That is why I think Mystery Liquid is going to trade into pick 107. In that trade, Becker, you acquire pick 201, pick 210, and pick 212, and he selects Fernando Mendoza at pick 107. The reason I say that, I think that there's beef in this league, beef enough that there would be draft day trades just for this purpose alone. Secondly, Jordan Love, great. Like, he's solid. He's a franchise quarterback. Yes. That being said, his bench is Jacoby Brissett and Kyler Murray at quarterback. It's not great. If anything, it is a depth play if he really wants Jordan Love to be that guy. But honestly, Mendoza, like, we know he's day one starter in Las Vegas. That team is revamped. They still have Genty. They still got Brock Bowers. They're adding weapons. I think Mendoza, the trade up happens, and he goes at 107.
Wow, that's getting crazy. I didn't do any mock trades on mine. At 107, I have I have you, Becker, going Denzel Boston. I know you need the wide receiver help now that you traded away Olave. To me, he was the next best wide receiver available, the way my draft fell. Obviously, big body. Depending on where he goes, he should have a lot of opportunity to catch touchdowns on the outside. So, best wide receiver available at 107.
Denzel Boston, because I have it here. Dude's 6'4". Dude's huge, man. Freaking huge. But honestly, like I said, I've already been trying to trade away 107. I'm very happy what I have at 106. So, like, respectfully, you're making a good point. Do I keep 107? Do I trade it away? Like, who knows? Or who knows? Like, what if I want to take Mendoza at 107 and piss people off? Like, I really don't care. But that's why I wanted 6 and 7, because I know, like, those 8 and 9 teams. Because, for example, who do we have again? We have my dad coming in actually talking about the 8th pick right now. And then we have Charlie. And like you said, you know, Ryan, he doesn't have a first-round pick after that. He does have the 201. So you do make a valid point. So, like, we'll see. But going into pick 8 now. So here's the fun thing about my dad. Of course, he's been hinting of wanting Mendoza. I think it's a funny thing. I think we all know he's a rage baiter. Because we know there are a good chunk of teams that actually do need quarterbacks. So is this him hinting that he actually wants Mendoza? Is he just being funny and he's not going to take Mendoza? You know, we'll never know. So I think that's why the draft will be fun. And hopefully we do it live in person, which I'm sure we will, which will be even better. But at 108, I actually have him taking Jadarian Price. Like I said, I know Jadarian Price, I think, is shown being like an early 2nd round pick or like the 12th pick or something like that. But looking at his stats right now, he's 5'11", ranked just shy of a 4.5. He did rank third out of all the running backs in the combine. Still behind Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame. The dude still had over 600 yards. He had 11 touchdowns. He averaged also 6 yards a carry. So it was hard to tell, like, when the season started, if it was going to be the Jadarian Price show or if it was going to be the Jeremiah Love show. But we kind of saw Jeremiah Love. I know there's the one game he hit like a 99-yard touchdown. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be the first running back drafted. But I still think there should be a lot of hype for Jadarian Price. It kind of looks like he might be going to Seattle. So maybe he can fill that Kenneth Walker role. I know they still have Charbonnet, but like if you see a running back that's averaging 6 yards a carry and in the conference that Notre Dame was playing it, and sorry, not conference. They're not in the conference, right?
Nope.
Isn't Notre
Nope.
Yeah, but they just still play like decent teams, I know. But they were comparing him to Javonte Williams. So, time will tell. But also when you look at my dad's RBs, he only has now Ramondre Stevenson and DeAndre Swift. So I think he's going to take a running back.
Yeah, to your point about your dad really only having those two guys at running back, I also went running back, but did not go Jadarian Prince. I went with Emmett Johnson. He had such a good year at Nebraska. He had damn near 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Like, guy's a beast. He's stocky. I mean, he's 5'11", still's got good size, got good speed, got good strength. I think he's one of the more well-rounded, physically gifted running backs in this draft. That being said, when you're playing for Nebraska, who's not notoriously known for, their football, games. Right now they're making, a run in the NCAA, championship. But I just think that it makes sense that a guy that can be this productive on a team that you don't think, sure, they're in the Big Ten, but you don't see them maybe as a football school in general. I think Emmett Johnson goes here, pick 108.
Yeah, at 108, I know there's been a lot of talk about your dad going Fernando Mendoza. So that's actually what I had him doing, was taking Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, he's got Mahomes, who tore his ACL last year late in the season. So who knows when he's going to come back, if he's going to be ready week one, and what's going on there. He just traded for Tyler Shuck. I know he was pretty good last year. Maybe he has a sophomore slump this year, maybe not. I guess we'll wait and see what happens. But after that, he does not have another quarterback on his roster. And personally, I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be better than Tyler Shuck is, especially with the weapons he's going to have in Vegas. I could see running back definitely being the pick here, but I went quarterback for mock draft number 1.
Yeah, I think that pick is going to definitely be a mystery. And Charlie, I really hope there are some live trades that happen, because I'm telling you, man, like it's going to get exciting. I truly think there's going to be a lot of people jumping on players that can go in the second round to go in the first round. And that's how you can tell how stacked this draft is this year, because Mendoza is projected to go right now with, I think it was the 10th pick in the second round. So we'll see. But, that'll be another topic on another day, because we'll focus on pick 9 now, which is Charlie. Charlie, you make up a fun point about pick 8 and it getting traded. When I think about pick 9, I think this pick can get traded. The reason why is this. If pick 9 comes, let's say, and Mendoza does fall, I think there's two things that could happen with this pick before I say who's going to go here. I know you have a lot of picks. I truly think some of these teams that need a quarterback, that you could honestly, for example, you were talking about the 201. I could also see you getting 201 here, but I also see you getting a star player in return still for him to lead, because I'm going to name off some of the teams that need a quarterback. So even though Hoffel has a very good core of wide receivers and stuff like that, he has Cam Ward and J.J. McCarthy as his backups. Maybe Cam Ward has a bounce back year. I think he is still a great quarterback. But when you start thinking about it, some teams are going to have to start having 3 quarterbacks lined up ready to go. Like, I get OCD having only 2 quarterbacks on my team, which is why I had to make trades that have at least 3 quarterbacks. If one of your quarterbacks goes down, that's it. So I think there's potential that Hoffel is going to want to take a quarterback. TJ is going to want to take a quarterback. Ryan's going to want to take a quarterback. You have so much draft capital that I truly think that you might get some offers. I won't go into detail though, like you did, but at pick 109, this time I actually have Denzel Boston going here. So there's something crazy. As he is 6'4". This is all through like the NFL website. Do you know who he's getting compared to right now? You guys want to take any guesses?
Mike Evans.
Johnny, any?
My first thought went Julio Jones, but he's too small to be Julio Jones.
He's getting compared to Puka Nacua.
What?
Through the NFL website, through an NFL analysis, at 6'4", Puka Nacua. Trust me, I was shocked as well. I need to look up more because if this is the case, there's no way Denzel's going to be a pick 9. But in college, he averaged just shy of 900 yards. He had 11 touchdowns. He also averaged over 14 yards a catch. There's something crazy about this year's wide receivers. They are like, this is already like, I think the 4th wide receiver averaging over 14 yards per catch. So I think there's going to be a lot of studs. And I think you can't disappoint Denzel Boston at 109 if he falls there, especially if this guy's being compared to Puka. 6'4". Like, gosh, just throw the ball up to him. Anyways, but yeah, I think that's what's going to happen to you, Charlie. But I definitely see a trade happening.
Yeah, at pick 109, I have myself taking Jadarian Prince. Really, to Becker's points earlier about him going sooner in the draft. When you're splitting a backfield with Jeremiah Love and you're still that productive, granted you have those fresh legs, I mean, maybe he goes somewhere where he, maybe it's a 1-2 punch like we've seen last year and years previously with Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Now, Montgomery is out of, Detroit, but still, like, you could definitely see that. He showed it in college that he can be a great 1-2 tandem. So I really like him. I'm really, whoever falls to me here, unless I get a crazy trade offer, but running back or wide receiver, I think that this class is so deep that, like, I'm happy. So Denzel Boston, gladly will take the next Puka. Jadarian Prince, gladly will take him as well.
Yeah, at 109, I also had you going to Darian Price. I've seen him getting mocked to Seattle a lot at the end of the first round, which I think would be awesome if you could get him and he went there. Your running backs your whole team is pretty well-rounded all the way around. I just think you have more depth at wide receiver and tight end than you do at running back. So that kind of led me more towards you going running back. And I think that Jadarian Price is definitely the 3rd best in this draft.
From my sources, I think I actually heard Jeremiah Love falling to 109. I think they had a Notre Dame running back mix-up. So I think you're going to actually take Jadarian Price, and there's just going to be a little glitch in Dynasty. So, like, I think that's what's going to happen. Oh, there's actually a notification. Jeremiah Love going back to college. Oh, sorry, Johnny.
He's going to the CFL as we speak, so.
Oh, man.
Wow, that's
I'm
crazy.
messing with everybody's mocks, so I take Carnell Tate at 101 now.
All right, if that's the case, then let's just do a CFL Dynasty League, and I think we all know who we're going to take with the first pick there. But let's go on to pick 10. I was going a lot of different routes here, but I truly think this is going to be the biggest running back sleeper in all of Dynasty football and also in the draft. It's going to be Mike Washington. So a little about him. He is 6'1", 223 pounds, who ran a 4.33. A 4.33 at 6'1". He also had a 30-inch vertical. He also had over 1,000 yards. Guess how many yards per carry he had? He had 6.4 yards per carry. 8 TDs, second team all SEC. I think it truly depends because I know with running backs down this league, it's starting to get a lot more difficult to really draft running backs because, like, I was doing the research, like, every team almost has their RB1 now. There are still a couple teams, of course, but when you look at a running back, he is the fastest running back in this class. they're going to want to find someone to have speed. There's going to be some team that's going to want a 4-3-3 running back. So I think it is a leap because Mike Washington is supposed to go in mid-second round, but I know this can all change. And maybe we'll do a video like after the draft of like a post-draft first round observation, and we can maybe do that. But I think right now, Mike Washington, he's going to drop into the first round somehow with the 10th pick Bowers Castle.
Yeah, I went a little bit of an opposite direction, looking at Bauer's needs. Not that there's a ton of them, but running back, Tyrone Tracy is one of his running backs. And he had a good year last year. He's a solid running back. However, at pick 110, I have Jonah Coleman going here. I know you guys had him going a lot sooner. The only reason why it actually bumped me down a little bit for him is because he's 5'9". Like, you're taking a lot of hits at running back. We know this. I mean, you've seen guys like Derrick Henry have these careers with such longevity because they are just a massive frame dude. And in a dynasty league, Jonah Coleman being 5'9", I just don't know if that bodes well. And granted, that's probably 5'9" with cleats on, so maybe he's more likely 5'8". But still, I think it's still a good fit for Bowers Castle. He needs running backs. I think that's probably his weakest position, and not that it's that weak because he still has Saquon on his team. So 110, I got Jonah Coleman.
You know, that's funny. We all went running back. We just all went a different running back. At 110, I had him taking Nick Singleton out of Penn State. Finished his college career with the most rushing yards in Penn State history, I do believe. I think whenever he gets to the NFL, he'll be a lead workhorse back, even if he's in a split backfield. So to me, that made the most sense at 110.
I actually was high on Nick Singleton, but I know he actually got a pretty serious injury from what I remembered.
He broke his foot at
I'm
the
trying
Senior
to
Bowl.
remember what it was. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
did he?
Yep.
Yeah. But, I mean, luckily it's not like an ACL or
Yeah.
Achilles. Like, you'll be able to recover, and hopefully he'll be ready for, like, spring training and everything. But I think that's why I didn't have Singleton in the first round, only because when I found that out, if Singleton didn't break his foot, I think I was going to actually have him at this pick as well. But once again, we'll see when the draft comes. But we'll go to pick 11 here, and I actually have the second best tight end in the draft, Eli Stowers, going here. So a little about this guy too. Of course, we know Kenyon Sadiq is the best tight end going into the 2026 draft. But here's some stats about this man. He's 6'4", 239. So you would think, like, who would have the highest vertical? A wide receiver, a running back, a cornerback? No, it was this dude. He had a 45.5-inch vertical at 6'4". So there's going to be a team who needs a tight end one still. Going into a tight end premium league, which is why I think 2 tight ends will get drafted into the first round. And funny enough, guess who his comparison is? Evan Ingram. So, you know, going back to the prime of Evan Ingram, he was a stud, but, you know, we'll see. This might be a leap for a tight end going at 11. But when we also look, I believe who has the 11th pick again?
My dad.
Yeah, your dad here. And I know he has Trey McBride, absolute stud. I'm not very high on Dalton Kincaid just because of Dawson Knox signing that 3-year contract. They are going to have a double tight end set. So I think Eli Stowers will be a safety pick for your dad here, who I really think is going to, like, I stuttered. Going to end right there.
Looking at his lineup, his running back room, his top 2 are fantastic. Jonathan Taylor and Ashton Genty, 2 studs. I don't think there's any disputing that. Then you look at his running back depth, and I'd say probably Trey Benson is his number 3 running back, which I don't know if you've been looking at the Cardinals running back room, but it's getting pretty crowded. So at pick 111, I actually have Nick Singleton going here out of Penn State. Johnny, you had him going the pick before. I have him falling a little bit because honestly, like, if he didn't break his foot in the Senior Bowl, I would think he's probably the 3rd best running back in this class. To your point, Becker, about it being a foot break and it's not like an ACL or any like ligament damage, I think that definitely bodes well. It sounds like he's on track to recover, by training camp. So I think that he'll be a good 1-2 punch again. Like I think there's so many good running backs in this class that you can't go wrong with taking any of them in the first round.
Yeah, at 111, I also have Eli Stowers going. Um, I think looking at the team, it's just so well-rounded, and the fact that we did switch to a tight end premium, I don't think Dalton Kincaid is a bad backup tight end. I just think you can definitely do better. And Eli Stowers falling to you at 111, I think is kind of a no-brainer. Especially because I've seen him getting mocked going to like the Bengals and stuff. So if he does end up going to a high-powered offense, and there's a lot of opportunity for targets or just a lot of red zone share, and I think it's kind of a no-brainer taking him there.
Yep. And like I said, we'll see how trades work. But dude, I feel like this league has been very quiet with trades recently. Like literally like 3 weeks ago, there was like a trade happening every single day, and now nothing's happening.
Whoa,
So,
whoa, whoa, whoa! We just had a
Whoa, whoa,
massive
whoa,
blockbuster
whoa.
today. What are you talking about? Come on.
dude, dude, that's right. I need to make an edit for it. Hey, guys, be prepared. Who's watching? There's gonna be a YouTube reel about this trade that happens. It's gonna be a sick fucking edit. You better be prepared for it. And I'll actually make them make the edit so they can actually be the ones to be like, what they do, baby. Anyways, last pick, which I now don't think is going to happen after Charlie is bringing up this brain move Adam Schefter trade analysis. But at the 12th pick, I actually do have Fernando Mendoza. Currently at the 12th pick, it's TJ. When we look at his quarterbacks, he has Bo Nix, Stafford. I know we talked about his quarterbacks in the last episode. Stafford, I mean, he had an MVP season, but he's also 38, going 39 right now. So quarterbacks are also like same thing with like I was saying about running backs. A lot of teams are starting to find like their true franchise quarterbacks. There are still good chunk teams that still need one, but when you look at Fernando Mendoza, even before I looked up his NFL comparison, I guessed who it was, and I was right. It was Joe Burrow. When you look at the comparisons from Burrow coming out of college and Mendoza, Mendoza, oh, Charlie, your fiance's downstairs. I see the light just turned on, unless it was your dog. So, hello to your fiance. Yeah, when you look at the stats, Mendoza to Burrow, they were both Heisman's first overall picks, going to a pretty lackluster team, but having all that potential to be good. So I just think he's the most complete quarterback. He's going to be the first pick in the NFL draft. I don't also have to say much about Mendoza. He's basically the same version of what Jeremiah Love is at running back. He's going to be an absolute stud. He's going to be a perfect fit for TJ if he actually falls to him with the 12th pick.
Yeah, at the 12th pick, I have Eli Stowers going here. I know you guys had him going at pick 11. I definitely think he's a first-round tight end. I mean, especially like you guys have been saying, tight end premium league. But with Tyson here, he needs a tight end in my opinion. He's got Laporta as his tight end 1, which I think, a very serviceable tight end, especially in a tight end premium league. But then he's got Juwan Johnson and he's got Cade Otton. I know Cade Otton just re-signed with the Buccaneers. So they're probably going to be targeting him, especially with Mike Evans going. But still, I think a guy this young, this much potential in a tight end premium league, you need it, especially if it's for depth. I mean, you need, especially tight ends now more than ever. I think you definitely need him. So I got him going at pick 112.
Yeah, at 112, I actually have Casey Concepcion going here. I think Tyson's biggest need is probably running back, but just based on the value of the players that were left, I think Casey Concepcion is the best pick at 112, especially since his third wide receiver is Courtland Sutton, and then he has Jalen Naylor after. I think getting a young wide receiver just to kind of fill in there, especially if Olave does end up getting hurt again, does not hurt at all.
Yeah, TJ definitely has an interesting team, and I know he's the one person. I don't know if it's TJ or Ryan, but like they always say, like, is TJ the one that has Tyler Algier now? And he's
Yes.
like, oh, RB1, he's gonna be a top 10 running back in the league. Like, I can say a lot about some of these players and some of these dynasty owners who are so high on some of these players, like Romeo Dobbs. And I think TJ hasn't. Was it TJ or Ryan? I always
Ryan's
forget
got
TJ.
Romeo Dobbs.
I confuse both of those teams because they make the most trades, but yet they both have the most interesting player development, and I don't know. But I won't talk too much more about it. I think that was definitely a very well thought out first round. And I think the best take out of this was Makai Lemon falling with the 6th pick. So I think we're going to end it with that. But let's talk about our favorite 4th and 10 seconds here. I already know what I'm going to say. But Charlie, we're going to start off with you, man. We're going to get ready. If you are, 3, 2, 1, go.
That 4th round pick in 2028 will be a franchise changer. Mark my words. Clip this right here, right now. March 22nd, 2026. 2 years from now, I'll be saying I told you so.
Ooh, can't wait. Hopefully your first kid will be on stream with us too. All right, Charlie. 3, 2, 1, go.
Before Becker starts ripping into him, I would just like to thank Michael for the trade that he sent me. That 2027 second rounder will be a franchise player. Mark my words, clip it. And yeah, just shout out to the brotherly love.
Oh, I love the brotherly love. All right, now my turn. 3, 2, 1, go. Mark it as of March 21st. Michael, I love you so much. He's our commish. He's been running this league absolutely amazing. But sadly, I will never make a trade with him. He is on my do not trade list. I fully respect the hustle, what he does, but we can never see eye to eye. And I'm just done. Thank you, next. Yeah. But anywho, thank you for listening to the 3rd episode of RDF. I don't know yet if we have any idea or hints on episode 4. I don't think we've really talked about it yet, so I guess we'll stay tuned to that. But yours truly, Charlie, Johnny Squared. Thank you for watching. And until the next episode, much love to everyone. And I'm so happy right now. I don't fucking know why, but deuces, everyone.